Hello there. Thank you for joining us today on our podcast. As always, I have an amazing guest in the studio who is going to be giving us some insights around what he's into. I'm excited myself because I think this is the very first time I'm having someone who works at the intersection of data and clinical research as well. So I'm quite fascinated by the questions we're going to ask. So welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you
doing
so
well
much
as well.
for this opportunity.
Yeah. So I will just go through your well. So Dr. Jude Omeke is our guest today, and he's a passionate medical doctor with strong interest in leveraging health data, digital tools, and artificial intelligence to improve health policy and clinical decision making. With a vision for a smarter, data-driven healthcare system, he's committed to exploring the intersection of medicine and technology to enhance patient outcomes and inform evidence-based practices. His work reflects a growing dedication to the future of healthcare innovation and its practical impact on systems and lives. So yeah, very, very interesting discussion we're going to have today. We're going to be talking around the landscape of data, data sourcing, data analysis in Africa, your experience, the way forward, and all that. So good to have you.
All right,
So
thank you.
yeah, so let's even get to meet you. Who is Dr. Omeke Jude? I mean, if you had to describe yourself to someone who maybe wants to invest in you or something like, who wants to invest in what you do, who is interested in what you do, how you describe yourself?
Yeah, I think me also listening from my end here when you're describing me myself. That's even interesting anyway. So yeah, don't mind me. So I'm Jude Omeke. I'm a medical doctor, and I have interest, just like you read before, I have interest and passion in digital health, which for about 3 or 4 years of my life, I've invested much into trying to understand intersection between health and digital tools. As we all know that technology is almost taking over everywhere, and we don't want the health sector to be left in limbo when it comes to area like this. And one of the places where digital tools play a very important role in terms of its usage is in the healthcare space. And this is area where I am. I've done so many things, including getting a master's in digital health from the University of Bristol, which is one of the places that exposed me a lot in terms of the importance of digital health and the importance of technologies in advancing the healthcare practice. So aside that, I've also had some things to do with the Health Data Research UK, which to recognize them here, they are the one that sponsored me in my master's degree. So I still thank them and they think big scholars of the University of Bristol. So, and since then, it's been from one place to the other, one thing or the other, trying to understand the digital health space and try to make sure that there is accelerated usage of digital health, especially in terms of trying to leverage universal health coverage. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So let's look at your master's in Bristol first, because I think I checked the modules because I have a friend as well who's currently finishing that as well this year. Olayemi, I don't know, maybe you know her, Olayemi. She's a friend. She's doing the same program as you said you've done,
Uh,
and I see that there's
I may have met her
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
on
yeah.
LinkedIn. I think I've
Amushili
checked with
Olayemi.
someone like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think at DME or Liame, I'm not sure now. So yeah, I saw some of the tools. I mean, I think I saw Python. I saw some really interesting modules there. So how was it like upskilling yourself and learning and networking and just raising the bar for yourself while on that program to really mainstream
Yeah.
into it?
Sincerely speaking, it wasn't an easy one at the beginning. So because I was really very new. But one of the things is that when I was reading up about applying for digital health, and I saw specifically where they mentioned there that beginners are welcome, even if you don't have any programming background, and you should come in. And sincerely speaking, before starting this my program, I don't even know how to write "Hello World" in Python. So the popular hello world everyone
Yeah,
writes.
everybody.
I think I have not written that before. So if someone starts saying Python, it sounds strange a bit to me. So, but then when I looked through when they just specifically said that the beginners, even if you've never had experience in Python, so you can come in and then they're going to put you through and they're going to learn. So that was a boost for me. I was like, if they say so, why can't I do so then? So, and I got into it. I can remember my first day in class, and it was a computing class. I was totally lost, totally lost. But then it was a good time. The University of Bristol, the digital health masters in University of Bristol is so unique that you have different, it's interdisciplinary. I had software engineers, I had people, especially those from the computer science distance, who are so good. So, and that is when I understand what networking means. And because I have some of them, even though they are technically very sound, but when it comes to health, knowing everything about health, they don't know. But then me as a doctor, I have a very good background knowledge when it comes to health. So in terms of the technical aspects, I find myself needing them so much in helping me in terms of understanding those things. And when it comes to the health aspect, especially those of the courses they are doing related to health, I see myself telling them, oh, anytime you have time, you can come over, we can have a discussion about that. And we've done a lot of that, and it helped. So this brings about networking, brings about knowing people in different specialties, and then bringing ideas together from our different fields to make things work. And that is what digital health entails. It's not just about being a doctor. It's not just about knowing this in the practice. So it's about also understanding to work with others also who has a vast knowledge in terms of the technical aspect of things. So, and you can think together, think how we can make something work out best in terms of clinical practice. And then we can deploy those tools to make healthcare accessible. Yeah, but it was really challenging, if I should summarize it in that way.
Okay, really nice. So I think I understand the reason why they would want to admit a lot of people from different discipline because that makes it easy to interact. Because if you are as a tech person, you want to build a tech product for healthcare and you don't have the domain knowledge, then you're just building from your, the old software, angle without really solving any problem. So I really understand that. So really good. And then in terms of what you do now, how you describe your current role and your current department, your current maybe not industry really, but in terms of place of work and what you really, really do.
Yeah, okay. So after my master's, I really got a lot of skills, technically wise, because I think I got at least I went beyond the level of an intermediate user in Python to getting some advanced things to do with Python, machine learning, and all that. And I remember we did some projects in terms of building digital tools, which worked and are still in place today. So after that, I had this, thinking, should I straight away go into the industry? Which I know there are doctors who are technically savvy are also in need, they're needed. So, or should I just go back in clinical practice? And I really have to talk to myself to understand that ab initio is been about clinical practice, and this is what I want. So, having had this exposure, what if I get back to the clinical practice and then see how I'll be able to deploy most of this knowledge gotten from this masters and other things I did in the clinical practice. And I started looking for spaces where I can actually do a work in digital health while still being in the clinical setting. I remember one of the things that got me into because where I am, I'm doing a clinical research in rehabilitation. And I got to know that because in one of my projects, I developed a model, so which helped to categorize a brain tumor to know those of them that has a axillary lymph nodes or not. So in terms of making prognosis. So and after that, so I now find out that okay, if we actually can do that, and have this knowledge in terms of using especially the neural networks in understanding the brain structure and all that. So basically, I can actually do well in any of the research that has to do with rehabilitation, especially post-injury. And this is how I got to myself in this clinical research. And I can really say it's been rewarding, and it is what I expected. It's just beyond what I expected, because we've had a lot of projects I came in here and I met someone who is also very, very, very advanced, who's a consultant in neurorehabilitation, but very technically savvy, that he has done a lot of things. One of which is we are working on trying to use the in neuropathic pain. We try to use recording the brain waves. I don't know. I'm just trying not to sound so medical. So getting this, we record the brain waves. And there's extent you get the amplitude, especially when at rest, when in pain. If we're able to measure the waves in the brain at that time, we can be able to produce a sound that can keep a patient well, not in pain when the person is having, especially neuropathic pain. So in that situation, you're able to make patients not to have pain, even though you're not using drugs, but just using sounds and all that. And those sounds are produced by recording the brain waves when the brain is at rest, when it's having pain and all that. So and amplifying the sound that you know they can release the patient pain. So and it's an ongoing project. Which I'm just trying to say it's been fascinating. Really, it's been fascinating. So, and good to see that some other things. And in the area of large language models, especially in trying to interpret interactions and consultations between doctors and patients, there are a lot also going on in the clinical practice because we understand most of the time what takes a chunk of the time of the doctor is seeing a patient with administrative work, trying to record, trying to document, trying to have them because there's also medical legal aspect in what we're doing. And because of that, we also need accuracy in terms of what you're doing and also makes your work easy. So you also find out that the issue of language models are interpreting what the doctor is saying, and we have many products out there which a doctor can use while interacting with the patient. Is just taking the note, and not just like taking note, it ranges every of the discussion as doctor will write it in his notes from history to physical examination to investigation findings and all that. And then these treatments regarding discussion. And this becomes easy. A doctor can just sit and have a discussion with a patient without having to write anything or document anything. And you have a tool that get that done and working. So it's really been exciting being in this space, seeing these things being applied in the clinical practice, and then understanding the technical modalities of how these things are being done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I appreciate that because I think I was listening to, I don't know, maybe a podcast or something, and the speaker was saying that I think about 70% of the work done really is about those writing or those admin by doctors. I mean, when a doctor is in a patient, most of the work is around, writing, trying to document this, document that, and then just like about just 30 minutes, 30% of the time spent with the patient are really the 30% of the whole 100% is what really is actually very useful in terms of interaction with patients. That most of the energy, most of the attention is into how do I get this done, how do I feel this very well, how do I ensure that this is well arranged and all that. So I kind of appreciate that. But there's another question that I have in that regard. When we work with drugs, I mean, you know this very well, before a drug is out, there will be a lot of clinical trials and the likes before things are
Okay,
done.
yeah.
So, I mean, give us some ideas into how this is done with AI as well, because if AI will be very good, precise, and accurate as it should be, there need to be some sort of quality control and quality check. So, what do you have to say to that? And I know that may not be where you work exactly, but I know you have a lot of ideas. Yeah, in that.
Okay, yeah, just like every other product used in the clinical setting, and more specifically example as you used, which is a drug that would undergo many processes before it can be given to someone. The same thing is also applied to digital tools we're using. One is before you deploy any of the digital tools for use, you really have to undergo what we call a pilot study. So you do it in a small group of people. You must have first gotten ethical clearance. This ethical clearance will actually, you have to prove how you're going to make use of the data you're going to get for this patient you're going to use, how you're going to store the data, and then making sure so you follow the GDPR reporting templates and all that. So to make sure that the data is safe, not just for you, but for also the patient you're getting their data or the people you're getting their data. That is one. to when we get this, we also have to go into a series of pilot study, trying to first of all let a small group of people use this, and then the results you get from the small group using it is it now help you to iterate. So further design what you're doing, and then make sure that you cover every other aspect of the loops you find in the tools you're using. So into a finished product. So once you do that, there are also some regulations, and each country specifically have theirs. So basically, what the UK, for example, is still using is the one by the EU, which has regulations on how a product can come into the market, especially in the healthcare space. The same way in the US, where you have their FDA, and they have different categories, level one, level two. So depending on the product, basically most of the digital health tools are usually level one, which are just once you undergo the primary review and find out that it doesn't constitute any harm in any way, and then they follow the GDPR reporting template for the stuff, then basically you are good to go. So these are the ways these things go.
Thank you very much. That's, I think we've talked a lot around data, use your career, and quite fascinating. But to be specific, I wanted to address some questions as well that will be helpful to a lot of our listeners. So a lot of listeners are fancy the health tech space, and they really want to come in, and they're still early, lots of students, lots of corpus.
Mm.
If you have to start again, like let's say you're just entering medical school
Okay.
and you want to maybe end up like this, like how would you have done things differently, or what do you think you would have done to make things easier? Like maybe like let's say 5 steps to make things easy to get to where you are today.
Okay. Yeah. In short, let's say that I'm not even going back to medical school to start again, and I have the opportunity to rework the curriculum for the medical students. So I would do it differently from the way I had it in the beginning. Yeah, because we are all just into anatomy, physiology, writing, and then reading and reading and reading, and then got to the clinical stage, go to the hospital, see patients, and all that, and you go. While they are fine, I think also that we have to restructure the curriculum so that it meets with the current needs. So because I mean, what is medicine if we are not trying to um, make the doctor to be in a position to understand almost everything that has to do with the patient? And that comes with the use of clinical tools now. If I am to restructure, or if I am to be a medical student again, aside those courses I take, I'll find an extra time actually to just learn how to write a code, as simple as that. These are skills like one learning any other language, or one learning piano, or one learning guitar and all that. So now gain those skills so that along the line you're going, you can be able to be well positioned in terms of understanding these things that when it comes to digital tools used in the healthcare space. And then that will give a better understanding, prepare the doctors ahead from the basics so they understand all these things so that when they come up, it cannot be so confusing. For example, during my program, I find it difficult trying to remember all the mathematics I did, the calculus and all that for the mathematics in secondary school. Just imagine that I was able to put through in this, and I find out that programming just has much to do with mathematical languages and connotations, and you really have to use those things. So if I was exposed and has to continue, it wouldn't take me much time recalling just few calculus I did or few things I did in further mathematics and then applying it to running a program in Python. So, but now at an advanced stage, I has to go back, trying to learn those things again, be able to apply them in writing codes and and trying to develop models. So, and yeah. So if I am to restructure, or if I am to go back, I would actually like to pick those skills as I'm going up. So just as little as, even if it is Python or
Mm,
the other smaller ones, you could just get that. And
mm.
then it's going to be helpful while you're going on, while you are then doing the other major clinical works.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's a big art skill. Python is really good because it can be used in analytics and data science and a whole lot of things. But a lot of people find it very hard. A lot of people have, and I know a lot of people are trying to come into health tech. Maybe even if it's one day, they'll try to maybe watch a YouTube video on Python or something, or maybe go for a course on Python. So how do you think people should approach it, to get the best out of it and to not just get tired and drop it and maybe pick something else? Like, what would you recommend, for someone
Okay.
you
Funny
want
enough,
to do?
I'm one of the proponents of s- people saying you don't need to write any code to be in the digital health space. Sincerely speaking, you don't need to. You don't need to know how to write any code. I'm not saying it. Yeah, I can boast that I know how to write code. I know how to use Python. But then I don't advise anyone. I mean, if you really cannot do that, and they say because of that, when we talk about health tech or when we talk about digital health, we're not talking about coding, sincerely speaking. So what we are doing is there are many other aspects. There are many things one actually need to know in digital health. Have we talked about electronic healthcare records? I'm from Nigeria. And have we started examining how the adoption, how do we adopt healthcare record? How many hospitals actually put down the names of patients, the age and the BP they get to measure every day, such that one can at glance check how the BP of a patient has been over a month. You don't need to code to know all these ones. So it's about understanding the rule. What is digital health doing? What are we supposed to do? How do we leverage these tools to bring about universal health coverage? So it's not just about coding, and I don't think anyone who really don't have interest in coding should bother himself doing that or prevent the person from coming into digital health space. You just have to understand literacy is enough. Understand what is happening in digital health space. What are the things going on? What do we need to do differently? How about data governance? How do we apply this data? What are the ethics surrounding the data usage? Is the data being used well? How are patients being protected? How are patient data being protected? How are these tools going to affect patients? I mean, anyone who has this understanding and knowledge of how these tools impact healthcare is actually in digital health space. You mustn't write a code or you mustn't print in Python or any other language this thing before you can be in digital health space. It's just coming in to understand how these things can help us in terms of in terms of a universal health coverage. How do we bring up this? And safe to say also that when we talk about health innovation, I've had opportunity to talk about this. It's not just about innovation, is not just about building a model that can detect cancer in the brain. As fanciful as that is, as good as that is not innovation. Innovation can be as simple as actually just producing a platform that can actually help tell the patient about how they can use most of the digital health tools for their own health, especially public health related. So I still believe that we have to look into those underprivileged areas, low resource areas. How do they adopt digital health? Is my mother in the village actually knows that there is a tool we can use to check the BP while at home without needing to go to the hospital and they keep the record for 1 month? So if we go into that, going into this advocacy and then using these tools actually to come to the primary level of disease prevention, we've done a lot. So if we made them understand how to use these BP tools, how they used to check it, how they can actually just go further or connect an app to their phone that can tell them about their BP. If they don't have stroke, do we actually have a need to produce a model that can read the brain image to know where the stroke is? So we have to go at the level of primary prevention. So, and this is what I advocate. Let's go come down to or try to understand in terms of digital tools we can actually use for primary prevention, diabetes, hypertension, and all that. So we mustn't just go about writing the tools or building models that can do one big thing or the other. Let's start at the primary levels, and that is going to help us in terms of accelerating healthcare for the betterment of the patients. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. So I think this will be my last question now. So lots of people listening are medical students, clinicals, preclinicals, thinking about their life. What are the options? What should I do? So, I mean, what would be your advice in terms of getting the best out of medical school and still being well positioned after school for a very good life.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said earlier, if I had known what I know now, I would have been a different medical student. So, and therefore, if I save the opportunity to talk to the younger ones or what they should do to be better positioned, like this, I'm happy to engage with that. And one of the things I will say is one of the things we don't learn as medical students is the ability to network and interact with other professionals in other fields while we are coming up. In as much as it is necessary, like I said earlier, to pick up these small skills in Python if we can, and if we have the opportunity to do that, good. But then we should also seem to be engaging these other people in other faculties and computer science, sociology, and all that. They have a lot to offer when it comes to health. That if we connect to them so well, if we socialize, if we network, that is going to help us. That is number one. Number two is actually using other available platforms where you can actually learn and understand what is going on. For example, is LinkedIn. So you find out that LinkedIn is built in such a way that if you have interest in digital health, LinkedIn will keep bringing people that are in the area of digital health. You can read their profiles. It can encourage you. Those things you think you cannot do, you can do that. Okay. So being able to network, being able to use these tools. So we don't just end with using the internet in terms of being on Twitter for banters or being on Facebook and all that. There are some other academic platforms where we can be engaged, leverage on podcasts, go on LinkedIn and see what people are talking about and all that. And as much as possible, when you have time and break, attend to events, digital health events, social events, every other event where they can talk about things and they can be able to learn and leverage. You get to that. So don't just be in the class, being a triangular student from class to the hospital, from hospital back to the hostel, and you do that, it will just restrict you that everything you know, everything you do has to do with the four walls of the hospital. And we don't want doctors of this generation to be in that way. So we want people who can actually be very diverse in terms of their knowledge, in terms of that. And this comes by networking and interaction. So please go out, meet your engineer friends, meet your computer friends, your social friends, and all that. Understand what they are doing, attend events, and then leverage on academic platforms and podcasts to find out areas which you might have interest. And the earlier you start building those interests, then the better you're going to become in the society.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and thank you for your insight. I think at this point we have to maybe tie to this podcast how to be a different medical student because it's I think we've been really talking about your experience, really how you're able to get the best out of your medical degree. I think that's just the way to put it because they are doctors and they are doctors, you know what I mean. So you want to make sure
Yeah,
that yes, I have a degree, but at the same time it's still a bachelor's degree. How do you now make sure that I get the best? So I think that's what we've been able to address today. And thank you so much for your time. And I like the fact that you said a student should not just be a triangular student, just from year to year like you. So yeah, it should be coordinated, but not so fixed to learning new things,
yeah, yeah, I
exploring
agree.
new things. I used to make a joke that if you enter coma maybe 3 years ago, if you wake up today, a lot of things have changed. Like it's the rate of transformation we have in technology now, it's so fast that if you're not careful, by just lacking, you will just find out that you're just so back. Like, okay, for example, almost every serious company now have an AI integrated to their website. That was not like that 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So things are changing. Pa, 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 pa. So
Yeah,
if as a healthcare worker or as a doctor or whatever you're even doing, even if you're a microbiologist, whatever you're doing in the health tech space or even in any space, if you're not able to upgrade and update yourself now, it's so risky because one person can do their job and your job with AI.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
So
I, I quite
it's
agree with you. I agree.
so
So
it's
there
it's
is
so fascinating.
even if aside being even aside from being a medical student or being a student at this time, I think this is also a message to every one of us,
Yeah. Yeah.
whichever level we are.
Yeah.
We really need to be updating,
Mm.
so that we don't get left behind.
Yeah, yeah, it's so
Thank you. Yeah,
fast-paced.
that's a good point.
Fast-paced.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. I had a great time.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talk to you some
Yeah.
other
Thank,
time. And you
yeah.
look good
Thank
as
you
well.
so
Well
much.
done. You're really enjoying the UK. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
well
All
done,
right. Thank
and
you.
bye for
Yeah.
now.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
thank you
Yeah.
everyone
Take
for
care.
listening today. Until next time, I remain Gabriel, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah.